I apologize for that. The battery on my video camera died, but it was kind of a happy accident because when I started to put my napkin on there and look at the colors, I noticed that with the wood grain, it wasn't going to show through as well. It wasn't going to pop. So I decided, since I was already down for a minute, that I would make the background in white, and I just used the Charming chalk, white chalk paint, to do that. And now that that's dry, I will once again apply some Mod Podge and then put my
So what I'm doing here is
on.
trying to figure out exactly how to line up my napkin. I've already taken the plies off of the back. Trying to line up as best I can so that it won't, hopefully it will match up. Once I do that, I am going to use Mod Podge, and I'm going to put Mod Podge all over my plaque, spread it out. I put a fairly generous amount of Mod Podge, and I'm going to set that to the side. And then I'm going to use a paintbrush and a wet sponge to cut out the parts or water out the parts that I don't want on my napkin and fray the edges so that they blend in more evenly with the back of the plaque. Once that's done, I'm going to dry my Mod Podge with the heat gun. Make sure that it's good and dry. And once I'm sure that it's dry, I'm going to use a piece of parchment paper to do the iron-on method. This method just seems to work better for me. I have a tendency to get Mod Podge all over my fingers, so if I touch the napkin, I'm going to tear it. So ironing it on with a piece of parchment paper is just a better method for me, I have found. Now, if that's, if something else works for you, awesome. Unfortunately for me, this is the best one that works. Guarantees that I don't actually tear the napkin all to pieces. Once that's done, we'll continue on with the rest of our project.
Okay, so to continue my project, once I had the outside done and the napkins put on, I didn't like the way the outside looked. So I took some of these little wood planks that I got from the dollar store, and I decided I'd make a frame out of it. I just cut it at a 45-degree angle, closed in the small gaps. Was it perfect? Absolutely not. But I closed in the gaps, sanded it off, used a baby wipe to wipe off all the dust. And then I have 3 pieces of pallet wood that I cut into the shape of a spire, like on a church. Glued those together with wood glue. Let those dry overnight. And then I'm going to place those at the bottom of my plaque. But right now what I want to do is I want to paint this edge. And I didn't like the brightness of the grotto. So what I did was I took this and I mixed it with just a tiny bit of burnt sienna to give me a little bit darker shade. And then I thinned it out. And so now I'm going to paint the frame. This will match my leaves much better. Well, that took a skinny minute to get in all those little crevices and cracks, but it's absolutely beautiful. I'm going to set this aside to dry. And then we're going to take our church. Now, I had originally put holes for a hanger in the top, so I'll go back and use that as my hanger. But I wanted to see how I want my placement, and of course I want to make sure that I have it even on both sides. So I'm going to take my tape measure, and that one's about 2 1/4 from the side. That one's not quite, so I'm going to have to slide it over just a skosh. 2 1/8. Ooh, getting these things centered is quite the feat. 2 1/8. 2 1/8. There we go. Perfect. Now what I plan to do is put this down with some just regular wood glue, and then I'm going to flip it over on the back and use my Stanley combination staple nail gun, and I will put nails in the back to make sure that it's secure. Alright, so now we're ready to flip it over. It's fairly dry. We're ready to flip it over, and then we're going to nail the back of our church. While I've got it turned over, I plan to put my hanger on while I have it on the back, and I'm also going to stain the back just to make sure that it has a finished look. So we're flipping it over. I made a couple of tiny little marks here at the bottom so I would know where to nail it. And I'm using my Stanley nail gun. And I'm just going to put several nails to take my handy dandy little hammer and tack those in just a tiny bit. I didn't go all the way in. Let me grab my hammer. Whoops. Believe it or not, lined it up perfectly, and it is steady. So what I want to do now, let me turn this way so you can see. I'm going to put my hanger on. I'm going to make a knot in the end of my rope, and I'm going to make it across here, and then I'm also going to staple that on. Alright, so now that we have staples in our gun, I've changed out my nails for my staples. I'm going to put my hanger right here, and I'm going to nail on the inside of the knot to make sure that it holds my twine. Check to make sure. And it gives it a little bit, just a tiny bit of give so that there's a place to hang it. Alright, so now that's on, the back is stained. We're going to flip it back over to close this up before I make a mess with it. Put that to the side. And I'm just going to take some of my Aleene's tacky glue, put on the back of this, and then we'll attach that. Well, I didn't need to do all of it all over, but that's okay. This will hold it, and that will eventually dry. And that's the second time I've done that. I put way too much glue. We're going to leave that right there. Make sure I clean up any excess. I don't want to have any showing. Let that dry. And then I have this stick that I got from Michael's with some leaves on it. And I wanted to put some of these fall leaves on it just to dress it up a little bit. So I'm just going to snip some of those off, see how many we want. There's all different colors, all different variations. Some of these berries might be good, so let's take some of those. And I really like this spindly looking stuff. I'm not sure what it's called. We're going to try some of that as well. I better do about 3 leaves. So let me snip off another one. Put that to the side, and then we'll figure out where we'd like to have these. And you know, as a crafter, you know, you have to play with the placement, see where you like it. Am I going to put it in the corner? Am I going to put it at the top? So we're going to play with it a little bit and see what we like here. I do know that I want to spread this out a little bit. Put that behind it so that it's sticking up behind my leaves. And I think I'm going to turn this one upside down this way. And then we've got our berries. And we'll probably put those right there. I think that would look really pretty. I'm not going to put a bow on it. Believe it or not, I am not going to put a bow on it. I'm just going to embellish it in the corner here. And see how we like it. I'll probably let it marinate for a couple of days and see how it looks. I might decide to add a bow later, but for right now, we're just going to go with this. And I do want this to stick up over the frame, so I'm going to place it right there. Hold my glue in place. I have a little extra here, so I'm going to put that down there. Put that stem up under there to hide that. Carefully place that in there so that it hides that stem. And then we're going to hold that in place. And I've got my darker color. I think I want it kind of like that, with this one coming down. So I'll place this one first. And I know as a crafter, half of the game is deciding exactly where you want it. And I'll snip that off a little bit. And then I'm going to take my berry stem and place it right there, I think. Put a generous amount of hot glue. And then we're just going to hold that in place until that glue sets. And it's okay if it touches the top of the church. That's quite all right. Hold that there for just a second. Make sure that it's held in place. And I think I like that dark leaf. I think I might do one more of those. So let me snip that off. Go up a little bit higher with it. Maybe I'll tuck it under the back. Yeah, I think I like it under the back better. So you put a little bit of hot glue on that. And lift those up, and we'll tack this one right back there. Hold it in place until that glue sets a little bit. And there we have it. I think it turned absolutely gorgeous. I hope you like it, and I hope it inspires you to make one just like it, or customize it to your own taste.
So here's the final plaque when it's all finished and dried. I certainly hope you like it. And any suggestion that you have for improving the way it looks, what you might have added, what colors you might have done differently, what background, please drop them in the comments below. I appreciate your feedback. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. I'm Rebecca with Roast and Roses, and I so appreciate you watching. Thanks, and have a great day.